thing for our heart energy together before we start anything.
Your data is muted.
Yeah, so if you want to, you can, well, we do this if you want, up to you. So let's just do some, put some love in your heart. Put your hands on your heart and allow yourself to be where you're at. Allow yourself to be where you are. And become aware of how you're feeling physically. In your head, in your chest, in your body. And bring your attention to your heart area behind your hands. And notice how that's feeling too. And let's just sit for a few moments, some gentle attention into our own hearts. And bringing the feeling, the emotion of compassion to ourselves right here and now in this moment. With all we understand of compassion, to bring that energy of compassion to ourselves right now, in this moment. Holding your attention into your own heart with love and compassion. With understanding, patience, with caring about how you feel yourself, and with a kind of intention and desire to alleviate whatever it is that you're feeling. Just love and compassion for your own dear heart right now. And if your mind wanders off anywhere, just notice and gently you may want to lead it back to your heart in the here and now, and smile with love and compassion into your own heart. Knowing everything, understanding everything, with love, especially with everything that's going on. And the heartfelt desire to bring lightness where it's needed. You know what's going on for you today and all that's around you and what you're dealing with. Have love and compassion for yourself in this moment. And as the heart gets lighter and stronger, smile with thanks that we're actually here right now, bringing love and compassion to our own heart, to ourselves right now. With that same intention and desire to bring lightness to where it was heavy or tired, as things lighten, bring the same desire for even more lightness to come. Still bringing the love and compassion to yourself, even as your own energy lightens. And take a few more moments until you start to feel lighter and stronger in your heart. And in your own time, when you're ready, you can gently return back to our lovely group. Okay, so I know I really needed that myself because I felt like the gas tank was empty. And that feels like I've filled up a little bit or put some energy in the heart. So I'm very grateful of that little space and time. How about you, Rosette, after your day?
Good. I like this little moment of meditation.
Yeah. Dita, I just unmute you. Right, if I can. Actually, I don't seem to be able to. Maybe you have to do it yourself. Yeah. Yeah, how are you now?
A bit better, but it's still like I have a big hole or something, big hollow.
Big hollow to fill.
Yeah.
So, Margarita?
I'm a lot better now. I learned that, you know, that when I feel very cold, and that's a sign of like things happening. That's a sign, and I actually feel better. I'm still feeling quite, I don't know, today. For I think I know the reason, because I might have to move from where I am here. Because they're going to knock it down, and they told us that today. And and it's the uncertainty, but the owner was here, and he was here explaining to a group of staff, and he asked me to join them, and he I said, look, I'd like to know what's happening. I said, is this place going to be knocked down? He said, yes, it is, but they're making a car park out of it. And anyway, when they're doing all that, and that'll go on for several months, I'm sure. And then we're supposed to be getting accommodation in their other place, but it'll be only a room in their other place because they have no apartments in their other place, as far as I know. So I may have to move somewhere totally different. But anyway, we'll see. So I think it upset me more than I realized, because I love where I am here. I love it. Sun in the morning at one side and sun in the evening at the other side. And it's very, very nice. But anyway, I feel much better.
Okay, good. So, let's look at where we are with our journey and our exploration, and what would be helpful for us also and interesting, like this evening. So we started with compassion, and we spent a couple of sessions looking at our aspects and healing our relationship with our aspects towards compassion for the aspect, and to see how the aspect healed as a result of our growing compassion. And the pattern being, what's the aspect feeling and where do I feel it in my body, and healing that within us, which isn't love, until we go into flow, and then going deeper and deeper to the aspect situation to witness it even more deeply with love and see how that changes the aspect. So we've got this pattern of growing into more compassion for the entity. Let's say the aspect is the entity, and then we also looked even deeper, I think last week, at how did the aspect come to be in this moment of experiencing this, and what went before, and what about those aspects and what they lived and experienced, and where do we feel that in our body, and a kind of a deeper healing cleansing. And so I don't know, we each will have got to our own way through that according to our own experiences that we chose. Some maybe got further than others, but I wanted to kind of establish that pattern. And then some of the other ideas that I thought would be interesting to then explore is that well, there's the other person in the event, the other person or persons in the event that the aspect was feeling that way in. And could we, apply the same process there? So that's another interesting area to explore and learn about. And then the other thing that I wanted us to have an experience of while we have the opportunity as a group is, now we know the pattern. We did a live, let one person be the center for the healing with love and just to receive. And I wanted to explore how that would work with compassion, now that we know how to, heal our way to grow compassion, and to see that the aspect changes and see what effect it has on the person who we are witnessing live before us. So how does that sound like an interesting thing? Because we are, we often we've got our client work and our people who we're talking to, telling their stories. And so we have an opportunity to kind of grow our compassion in our interactions with people. And so maybe we can do something as a group to see what group compassion can do for an individual. Is that an interesting idea to experience? Yes, Rosetta?
Yeah, I'm not sure I understood. When you talk about this individual, it's the person who was present with the aspect when something happened.
So there's two things. I've just actually spoke about two separate kind of explorations that I hope that we've got time to do in our, in our journey together. And one is to take what we've already done with our aspect and now look at the other person in the interaction that the aspect was struggling in. And do the same and say, well, okay, so what was going on for the other person at the time as they acted in that way, and where do we feel that in the body, and can we cultivate compassion for the other persons? Can we learn something about that? I think there's some lessons in there waiting to be learned. I know for me there is. And the opportunity is to actually take the event that we've worked with and really dive in and look at it, you know, and explore the energy dynamics of it and go a little bit deeper than we may have had a chance to before. And then the other thing, as a separate exploration I'd like us to experience while we have the group, is like we did in the last course, let one person to be the one who we as a group cultivate our compassion for the situation. And just because I've never done that before, and that, I think that would be, I'd find that really interesting and probably quite beautiful thing to do, to let somebody have that experience, one of us, and see how that works as a learning and healing. So we may not be able to do both this week, but do you want to say something, Margarita?
I just was saying that as you were talking, I suddenly realized how much by actually putting ourselves, you know, because in a way that would require us to put ourselves into the aspect of the other person, and like how much more understanding, I'm talking about myself anyway, I'd feel that my understanding for people would be much greater. You know, and there may not be people like politicians or people like that I do not know.
Yeah.
But that, you know, what I attribute to them, any behavior I might be attributing in my mind to them, by even that's an aspect. I mean, it's probably their aspect in a way, but like it's affecting me. So by actually doing that, I am softening my own attitudes. And that's what I feel the benefit would be.
Yeah. So you know, there's still a few things that for us to explore, but and we can choose tonight which will be beneficial. So, for instance, one of the things I feel from what we've shared so far, for instance, you know, Dita, you just shared how, you know, that was helpful, but you still feel like, you know, there's something more to be filled there for you to put energy up. And so instead of going back to our perpetrators for our aspects, why don't we look at that? You know, if Rosette and Margarita, if you accept Dita to have a little bit of just rest time, and let us explore through us growing compassion for you right now. So
I mean, for ourselves,
so I'm actually saying, let's say to choose one of us, and I'm suggesting or inviting, if Dita accepts as an example, to be like at the center, and then the rest of us to look at, okay, how's Dita feeling? For example.
So low energy, I'm not able to follow what's going on.
Okay. So let's say we want to do, remember we did a group healing last time. The sound, let me just mute out. Remember we did a group healing last time where one person was just sitting there doing nothing, feeling what's going on, and we just shone love there. Yes? Remember we did that last time? In the last course. Yes? No? You can nod at me if you can. Do you not remember? Where we let one person.
Yeah, I can vaguely remember.
So what I wanted to say is let one person say, well, here I am, this is how I'm feeling. And the rest of us connect with that feeling and say, where do I feel that person's emotion in my body soften and flow? And let's apply what we've learned with our aspects to the person, one of us in the group, and see how a live situation of growing compassion for the person in front of us. And how can we do that? Can it be something that takes a long time? Is it short? can we do it in the there and then, when the person in front of us is saying, you know, I feel this is what's happened, and I feel bad and I'm hurting. Can we do, where do I feel that hurt in my body? Soften and flow. And what happened that they're hurting? Ask no more. Where do I feel that in my body? Soften and flow. So that we heal our resistances live to a live person in front of us. Am I making sense? Yes? Sorry, I'm just unmute you, Margarita. Yeah, does that make sense?
It does. I was thinking more because I suppose my usual way of doing it is that I don't actually even feel what the other person is feeling within my. I do in a way, but I don't sort of allow myself. I allow to pass through very quickly so that I can give my full compassion, to allow compassion to flow through me to that person. And then the goes away from me, but it goes on to with compassion to the other person. That's the way I was feeling about it.
Yeah, yeah. Rosette, what's your comments about that?
Yeah, to me, it's I am ready to try that. You know,
yeah.
Really felt it when it was in the last course, and I am ready to see what would be the difference with compassion. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Dita, is it a bit clearer as a process now?
I'm not sure.
Not sure. So maybe, so Rosette and Margarita, you'd like to try this?
Can you mind if I suggest something? That in the place where you are, Dieter, would you mind if we just simply, even like you don't feel a bit like you want to be even in touch with it, but we still can send compassion to your feeling? Is that possible?
Unmute.
Yeah, I think that's okay.
Yeah, I only suggested Dita to invite you to kind of just allow yourself to be where you're at, and us to do some healing to bring that energy for you, so you can kind of just rest a bit and know that we're doing something about that. Maybe we'll ask you something, you know, to know more, so we can go a bit deeper as we go along. So is that okay with you, Dita, to be the subject? And you don't have to do anything.
Yeah. In a way, it's about us sharing compassion for where it's at for you.
Yes, yeah. So do you want to say something, Dita, about, you know, how you're feeling now, or how you're still feeling right now?
Yeah, there's something sucking on me, or some like pulling my energy down, and I can feel it. I can feel it in me, and
where is it? Can you feel where it is?
Yeah, like it in my heart area, on the left side.
Yeah. So something kind of pulling you down in your heart area. So if we all then just connect with that, and first just hold the connection with love and ask, where do I feel this feeling of Dita's in my body? You know, how does that feel in me? And then can I heal that in me? So let's just make a pause just to observe what's starting to happen in our personal experience, and what's kind of cultivating, and what the movements are, and how it feels for Dita as well. So, can you want to say, Rosette, do you want to say what that was happening for you, what you were doing, and what your experience was, and let's see what happened.
When I heard Dieter say before that it's like a whole, like something that goes, you know, I felt it like something that goes away, and I can relate to this feeling very much when I overdo my work as a grief counselor. I can't anymore, and then I feel that, and I felt it like about the same thing. I know it's not the same thing, but it's drained for a while, you know. And then I have, thank goodness, I have ways to rekindle it very, very easily. But still, I can relate to this feeling of like a whole. Okay, now stop that, and you know, resource yourself, and I don't know if it's what Dieter feels, but I could relate to this whole very well.
And did you have a chance to do the healing in you of
Yes.
your experience? Yeah.
The way I do generally for myself.
Yeah, yeah. So, and there I had a similar thing, like I found myself, the first time I felt you in my heart, and then I healed that, then that kind of grew, and then I tuned back into you, and I just thought, it's just this tiredness. Where do I feel this tiredness in my body? And I kind of felt that around here. It was more softening and flowing. And then I was kind of growing in love, thinking, oh, my Dita. And just, you know, like my energy is raising actually. As we're just observing, you know, the result of that, my own energy is raising in love as I'm doing this with a desire to want to know and understand. And it's like I was saying, give it to me, you know, give it to me, I'll kind of deal with it. You know, I was doing that energetically wise, and then softening and flowing and kind of getting more light in myself and kind of stronger in my energy. So that's interesting, you know, from my side of the experience. Margarita, what about your side?
Well, what I did was I allowed myself to feel Dieter, you know, as with what he's feeling, but not really. I mean, letting it through me and out, but actually not going into his feeling, but actually letting it in to me and letting it pass through me and out, and then letting the compassion come through me into that aspect that I know I'm holding, but it's Dieter's and I'm holding it, because the way I feel about it is that, and it does feel great. I just realized that earlier on, for some reason, once we started, I began to feel like a very low energy in myself. And, you know, there is a thing called empathy. And I never kind of would have branded myself that having empathy, in that I picked up another person's energy so closely. And I realized now, as I was doing that, I realized also that what I was picking up already was some of it was my own, I think, but also I think I picked yours up, Dieter. And you know, it was a mixture of what I had in myself and you. And so actually doing the two then brought in this feeling of lightness into my whole being.
Yeah.
And now I don't feel that same thing I felt at the beginning at all.
Yeah.
So I feel
yeah
that it's kind of moving, because I heard in another situation, you know, sometimes you see we start thinking, But since I've started being deep down in my body, I find that it's a lot easier for me to let things go much more quickly through my body. You know, let it go, let it go, let it go, and let it go real fast. Because so often when it's something that upsets us, I find when there's something that upsets me, I tend to, I'll be letting it go, but in the middle of it, I'm kind of thinking as well. Mm-hmm. And I feel that it's the thinking still holds it in place in myself. But when I just relax, go, feel myself down into my body, and then, let it go. Even if it's a good thing, let it go. And, so I realized, thanks, Peter, I realized that at the beginning, maybe that I think there was a bit of fragility in me, but I also picked up more than that. And what I realized is that I actually picked up yours as well. And then the two of them sort of went together.
Mm-hmm. So before I come back to make a kind of a response to that, I just want to go to Dieter and say, did you have any awareness or any effect or experience in that space that we are holding you in and working with your energy?
Yeah, I can say some things. It was interesting. Actually, I didn't have any kind of hope or expectation for that. But despite of that, it changed quite a bit. Meaning, it was much easier with this whatever was going on for me to find this empathy thing, which I didn't have any power before, what we did before. I couldn't do that. But with this process, it was there. I felt there was this compassion or this gentle awareness, however, and that kind of started to loosen some flowing energy, and that changed my energy quite a bit, meaning not completely, but it was surprising.
Yeah. Okay, good. So we did good, girls. So we're not finished yet. So let's carry on the research. Just wanted to pause. Just want to say something that Margarita, you said there to pick up on. You were saying part of it, what I was feeling was my own tiredness or whatever. And the other I felt was Dieter's. And actually what we're doing, we're seeking to invite the energy, to feel the state, to receive the energy of the other person. However, the way we feel it in us, what it triggers in us is our stuff. So when people say, oh, I'm picking up your energy and it's awful. No, you're picking up their energy and it's showing up your awfulness, as in the bit of you that doesn't know how to be loved yet in the presence of that. So just, to have the awareness, whatever, we think, oh, if I'm picking up some heaviness in somebody, actually, the heaviness in us that we feel when we take that person's energy is our resistance to it at the moment, which we feel into love and to grow our compassion. So that's just something else to hold.
So in a sense, it's the gift where the other person is a gift to us, because it's making us aware of our own fragility, even though it's all at an energy level.
Yeah.
And because I didn't feel that until you said, how are you feeling?
Yeah.
And maybe I was feeling it, but then when Dieter shared what he was feeling, I realized that actually what I had done was I had sort of tuned in, because I think in a group we're all looking to somebody else, maybe to have an energy a little bit higher than we have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think sometimes
so we're trying to do this exercise from where we're at, which is why it was good to do a little strengthening of our energy before we began, because we all come in as humans into this from wherever we've arrived. So, you know, we've got our own energy things going on as well to go to work with. So yeah.
But you know, even when I was doing it for myself, I didn't feel great. I still didn't feel great.
Yeah.
But it was only when I was doing it for the two of us, you know, the energies together. That's when I felt.
I want to remark about that energizing. I was getting into happy with love, more love in me as I'm bringing the energy in and softening and flowing what I'm picking from Dita state in me. So it was a good thing. I felt it was a good thing to do. So what I'd like to invite us to go a little bit further, which was even further support for Dita and further exploration for us, is, okay, Dita, if you could say in a few words, well, how are you feeling now? You know, what the new state that you're in now after that? What are you still feeling? And anything else that's going on, and let's do a little bit further with that and see if we can learn something about going to the next level up, whatever that might be.
I'm not really very high energy, but I'm like this area where I felt this kind of pulling down thing. I don't feel that so much anymore. And I'm still feeling kind of a tiredness, but like in my spirit, or like the mental state is more clear, and it's better. It's better. It's high. I'm higher energy now.
Yeah. So the little bit tiredness of the spirit, the little still remaining tired, where do you feel in your body that's located? Around the head. Okay. Okay, so let's just see if we can tune into that, girls, and see what we can learn and explore and grow in compassion. So I would say connect to that area that Dita's feeling in the head and that tiredness of spirit, and invite it. And where do you feel it in your body? Soften and flow, and repeat till you grow, even in compassion, even. Okay, so should we do a little pause again and see what was happening there? So that I found really interesting, and I found I felt a lot more in myself there, more actually around my head. I had a lot of healing in my own head to do there, and I don't know if it was like a mirror, you know, as I connected to where your heaviness in your head was, and I could feel it in myself almost in the same place. I did a lot of softening, got cool and heat flowing in my body and getting lighter and lighter. And it took quite a few repetitions to kind of feel the lightness coming into my own head, actually, in doing that. But I feel lighter, still a little bit more, actually, just around here still to kind of work its way down. But that was really interesting also to do that. What about you, Margarita?
It was great. Actually, there was only one word kept coming to me, is the power of the positives. Because what happened was, when I felt Lisa's energy in the head, then I found myself coming to the throat. And it didn't stay there long, because I went down into my stomach. And then what that was saying to me is that I too have been there. You know, because like the head is usually the thinking organ, and it's when I'm thinking, and then it's something maybe I want to express, but like that, maybe I push it down and I ignore it. I don't do anything. But actually, that's where the thing of Sylvia's thing of the power of the positives. What I found myself doing then is letting the compassionate love come down through me, and if it began to flow out, and I feel quite cold. To me, that's a sign of transformation, kind of healing. And I could feel that. I could feel it both for Dieter and for me. I could feel it in, and I just felt, gosh, this positives, that so often we try to get rid of it, but actually we do need the power of the positives as well. That once that we have let go, that then we can start streaming in, because there's oceans of it. That was another thing I felt like. There's oceans of compassion there for us. All we have to do is allow it in, allow it flow fast through us. And I found myself letting it flow very fast through me. For me and for you, Dieter.
Ronette?
What I do when I feel overwhelmed up there, if I can, I walk along the lake. And then if I do it early in the morning or at night, there is this breeze that comes. And I feel like everything that is not useful is going away like that. So I tried with Dieter to send that kind of lake breeze so that it dégage, it takes away whatever heaviness there is in the head. And I don't know if it works, but I did mine at the same time, and it always very, very nice. It just goes away like a light breeze, and it's good afterwards.
So, okay, Dieter, over to you. So what else did you experience in the second step?
Yeah, I felt like something like working, like the kind of the energy trying to flow through also in this area, and which of course goes through the body or tries to. And there was still a resistance of some kind of a some kind of like a shielding, something like that kind of where like sometimes flows and then is stuck again. But it's like flows in intervals or.
So evolution. So has some kind of evolution going on.
Yeah, no. Also, I feel like there's a increasing freshness or something.
Starting to get some freshness.
Yeah, and also this breeze. What was that said? It is indeed some kind of mental processes that are very repetitive, that are connected to this drain, where it's always the same things and nothing moves, and that is kind of mentally consuming, or doesn't make sense, and nothing moves, and some mental stuckness, and that's kind of this mental misery, and this some real boring thing, something like that, and that kind of try to kind of flow and start freshening up or something. And it felt like I could feel it, that it had some kind of almost organic result. And so without me doing much with it, not just observing.
So that's interesting. So there's some effect. You're being affected by us healing ourselves, all of our resistances to love in ourselves, and growing compassion. You're changing in the presence of that. So that's what's interesting. The other thing that I'm testing myself here, as you continue to talk, now we know the pattern. You can, you can just listen, or you can listen and go, where am I feeling that in my body? Soften and flow. Where am I feeling that in my body? Soften and flow. Where am I feeling that thing he just said there in my body? Soften and flow. How fast can we soften and flow as the person in front of us is saying, oh, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. We can be doing, where do I feel that? Soften fast, flow fast in me to kind of keep bringing the flow about that. So that was interesting to have a chance to do that dynamically, actually.
Yeah.
Not just.
But I found also that knowing that there's what we need most is for that, because even like I feel when I'm resisting something, it's also because I need more of the compassion for myself, or exactly. More of the love.
Exactly, because when we feel it, let's say, like at the beginning, when you were saying, I connected with that, heaviness around your head, Dita, and I felt it quite strongly. So how to heal that? Yeah, we have to put the compassion to ourselves to heal ourselves in what is showing up in us. Then that needs, so effectively it's the same thing. It needs compassion. We need compassion for the same thing that it's showing up in us. You're absolutely right. That's interesting. So actually, and the other thing that I'm observing in myself in doing this is, so, okay, the gift. Okay, so there Dieter comes with his tiredness and his energy is a bit low and his tension in the head. And after I connect with that and feel it and showing me where I need to heal myself, I now feel better. Mm-hmm. So it's like, so we can say, thanks. You gave an opportunity for me, to show up the bits of me that needed to heal in order to bring myself back to love. And so that's nice, isn't it? That's the gift. So another person is the gift. Even with their aches and pains, they are the gift for you to grow your compassion.
It's very like also like Ho'oponopono. Like it's the divine in you and reaches the divine in me and allows me to ask for forgiveness for my resistances or whatever, and also to be thankful that I'm allowed that what you show me shows me, and it allows me then to draw in the love that's needed. And so in doing that, I'm actually drawing it in for all of us. So it's not a question of, you poor thing, I'm doing this for you.
Yeah, we're doing it for ourselves. Actually, it's saying, thank you for showing up in me what I need to heal. I healed that, and now I thank you for the gift of showing me that. And then you feel, oh, I feel lighter now. I feel a bit lighter now after I showed that. So that's really interesting. We'll look at the Ho'opono in another session in a bit more detail. So I just want to pick up on something there which was relevant to us as we connect with people to do this dynamically and fast. Can we do it faster and more dynamically as we're talking to people consciously? So like if we now, before I'm going to ask Dieter to say a little bit more, before he does, the rest of us, each time he says something, tune in. Where do I feel that in my body? Feel it, soften and flow fast. And keep doing that and just listen with active, dynamic softening and flowing within yourself, just to observe what the effect of that is. Okay? Because that's something we all have opportunity every day to do. So let's have a little practice.
Great gift.
Yeah.
It's a great gift what we're having today, actually.
So Dieter, if you wouldn't mind giving us the opportunity for more healing of ourselves by sharing a little bit more about you, what you're feeling still and where you're at, feel free to go ahead.
Like when you were talking about this, I thought like maybe I can, like there's a definite thing, like an interaction that happened when this thing started. It's like it's also connected to some kind of thing that I know from before, where this kind of like tends to happen, this kind of like collapse at a certain and this time it happened in an interaction with someone that I'm connected to, and it like happened very suddenly. I could like from 1 second to another I could feel that, and I tried to push it away, and but it was there, and I didn't realize how heavy that was, like this energy drop, this collapse. And I realized that later, and now it seems kind of gone, actually. Like I'm not like really super high, but I'm alive again. Like it's not this heartbreak or like this special kind of heart collapse anymore, which was connected also to some kind of this person who triggered this in me. I kind of had judgment with them, so I couldn't do something like directly as like an energy interaction, but I was on a kind of social cognitive level, so I wasn't aware of this. I was aware, but I wasn't focused like on doing something on that level, and so that's kind of delayed this whole thing.
So thank you, Aditya. That was a really good opportunity for fast softening and flowing. Fast softening and flowing is as I in myself, that as you were listening, each time you mentioned something, I was going, where do I feel that in my body? Soften and flow, soften and flow, soften and flow, soften and flow. And what's bringing about in me is like delight in the person in front of me. Like it's lightening my energy. So the person who is lightening my energy is bringing delight in them. So I'm kind of feeling a delight in being present with Dieter as he's speaking. So that's an interesting active listening with softening and flowing and wanting to feel the person's experience. So did you manage to do that quickly? Rosette, could you do it quicker? Margarita, could you do it quicker?
Well, what I'm finding is, what keeps coming back to me is that when I feel that, and even when I got in touch with the thoughts of judgment and sort of resistance, I straight away I had the feeling of, what do I want to feel instead? And like it's a very fast letting go, but it's also the feeling of what I want to feel instead, coming in right behind it. And I found that really, it was the first time that I really, when Sylvie talks of the power of the positives, when she says, how do I want to feel instead of that? And very often that's what we're longing for, even though we are resisting, and we might be, judgment might come in there, but actually to feel, when we look at it closely, when I look at it closely, I see that really I want to feel the right, like my being is going towards the best way to feel. And like when I hear that, I can feel in myself too that the resistance can be there too, and the judgment. And so I found myself saying, and very fast though, letting it pass very fast through me, and that's what I want to feel instead. And it does so fast that I don't know. I'm not always aware of the process because it happens kind of fast. But there I had time to really look at it and to slow down, see what was happening. So I realized that as you were talking, like it was coming in and going through very fast, and then my mind was, what do I want to feel instead? Going towards that, and I found then that I was letting, like, that's where the compassion was coming in, because I don't know exactly what it is you want to feel. I know what I want to feel, but I don't know what you want to feel. But by actually giving you the freedom, when I'm giving you the gift of my energy or whatever, I am then allowing you the freedom to be whoever you want to be, not deciding who you should be, but deciding whatever it is that you're really longing for. You may not even know it at the time, but the gift is there for you. And when you're aware of somebody else listening to you. And I think the strange thing about it is that when that's happening, we can feel, even though I never consciously think about it, but I can actually feel the other person giving me the energy that I need. And I don't mind telling you this tonight, is when I was finding that I needed to put, before my niece, for the few weeks before, she was in touch with Sandra. And she used to say to me, she's brilliant. And I know why it was. What I knew, Sandra, you were giving her something she really, really needed. She couldn't do high energy stuff, but she was getting something that her spirit, her energy body was craving. And I mean, I think it's a wonderful thing. And I've said it to several people. I said she was getting from Sandra what she really needed. And we can have the desire for somebody to be better, but that's not what it's about. It's about allowing the other person to have what they need, not what I think they should have, but what they really need. And so I found myself in this situation, allowing you, Dieter, to have what it is you need, even though I was allowing the compassion to flow to you as well. Allowing the compassion to flow to me, to you in me. And I found that very, very enlightening. Sorry, I take a long time to articulate.
Thank you, Margarita. Thank you. Yeah. So it's but a very enlightening process as well, because look at your energy is light as a result of doing this, isn't it? So how about you, Rosette? What about you? The dynamic, could you feel the dynamic soften and flow?
Yes, I am less used to that. I some other processes, but I can do it very fast too. And I have learned, if you want, much more the Buddhist way, and now so many years, and I can change it extremely fast and go into the empathy and compassion and through other processes. But I mean, I have done with you EMO and so on, but I use it less than what I have learned before. That's but I get to the same point.
Yeah, yeah. And Dieter, did you have any sense of what the experience was talking while we're doing fast softening and flowing actively? How did it feel to be in that audience of listeners and attention? In that, what was that like?
Yeah, I got my share of that as well when I listened now to you and tried that out. And
she's smiling.
It was also good, like not so tiring for me as maybe. And bringing that into energy, like this listening. That's actually something that I knew, but it was good to refresh that and start applying that again, because it's helpful in any kind of listening, like doing it as a kind of energy trail of every word or something, feeling that. And that's a good thing to actualize. It's like getting out of the mental static and the statue of the mind, letting it flow and in some way, like having it making it some kind of cosmic.
And what did it, like the experience of, I'm trying to put myself in the situation reverse, of speaking and thinking that somebody is taking everything that I say and express in, through and out, softening and flowing with that. What is it like to be in that relationship with that person who's doing that? That's like, what is that like? Tell us, Dita, tell us.
Can I ask a question there?
Yeah.
As you're saying that, I'm suddenly thinking there's an aspect of each of us is doing that for us. I mean, but we're not aware. We're not. The more aware we can become of an aspect of us that can do that for us, because we're always looking out here. Will somebody out there help me with this? But actually, there's an aspect of each of us that really knows what we need, and will give it to us if we turn. It's almost as we have to put the aspect outside. It's like the caring aspect of me is standing there, and I'm looking at that aspect. And
it's like I say, is the real Sandra, where are you? Come, let me talk to you, So and I've got that perfect love and attention and compassion and everlasting patience and joy and happy love relationship to be in if I turn to it. But so we don't turn to it, but we could, So
maybe it would be very good for us to do, before we do anybody else's aspect afterwards, to actually do an exercise on that, on meeting the aspect of ourselves that is giving us whatever it is that we need. I don't know whether other people feel like that, but I actually, it kind of inspires me, this conversation, to actually go for that.
Yeah, so that's a very good exploration. So let me make a note of that, and should we do that next time? So we will summon our +10 aspect, our creative template, our real self, and be the one who needs the compassion in front of our perfect, endlessly loving aspect self, and see what that's like with our creative template, doing the listening and the compassion. Yeah, let's do that, because that's another self-compassion exercise. We'll do that next time. Okay, so good. Let's just look any learnings from this. Just let's not miss. I'm sure there's a few kind of observations we can make from tonight. So that would be, to get the nuggets, or the learnings. What's your sense of observations or understandings, or pick what the essence is of this evening's exercise? What would you say?
Well, there's definitely something I touched on, or like in this last part, like the summarizing things that I knew from before, and it's interesting somehow, like I stumbled into it again, and that was very in some way familiar, but surprising that this came up.
Mm.
And I knew that I could do that better.
It's like the dynamic listening, you mean, that thing, the dynamic listening, energy-wise. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else, like observations? I think that what came up was in the how energizing for me when I seek to feel, you know, where's the other person's pain in me? It is my opportunity to heal myself. So it's definitely a thank you to the person for giving me the opportunity to heal that. After I healed it, of course, I would say thank you. But it's very energizing to do that, and enlivening and enjoy, moving into joy, actually, the more I was doing that. So, so that was one observation and learning for me. Anything for you, Rosette? Sort of observations?
What I learned again was the power of connecting and sending energy and love and compassion. And in fact, doing that, we, as you said, we heal certain things inside of us at the same time. And that's, we know that, but through this exercise, it's like we can connect it with our experience also. And it's...
it goes from theory into reality, embodied reality.
Like Gita, I know that stuff, and then when we do it again, I realize it's very powerful, and why don't I do it more often on that level?
Yeah. Any final lessons, Margarita, from you? Observations?
Oh, I must say, like, tonight's been really powerful for me, because I just realized, you know, the interconnection, the energetic, the spiritual. I mean, in my spirituality, I'm always aware of the spiritual connection between us. But, you know, it's when it begins to deepen and you see it in a practical situation, how somebody is actually, is that we can touch each other energetically. And even if the person isn't present, if like, supposing I'm feeling, feeling sad and I don't know why, it may be me, but it may be also something I'm picking up around me. And so then I can actually say, like, when I'm releasing, I can release it in myself, but it'll also release in the person that maybe I've picked it up from. I mean, which reminds me of what's in myself, of course. But the reason, when we say everything is inside of us, that means that we're all inside each other energetically. Spiritually, we're all inside each other. That's why, you know, when they say don't judge, the judge is because it's ourselves we're judging. When I judge, if I judge your man over in Syria, I'm actually judging in myself too. And to me, now even I've been very interested in Ho'oponopono, and I can see now how powerful that is. That when you clear in yourself what you see around you, and I mean, we're responsible for what we see. If there's something outside of us that we're affected by, then clearing it in ourselves helps to clear it in the other as well.
And therefore, as the witness to something, we have a responsibility because we can affect it.
Oh, yes.
We have the power to affect that which is in front of us, and we don't use it, so we are not acting in our responsibility for what we're witnessing, in a way. So we have the power. So interesting, yeah.
I'm just thinking of I was at the hospital today, nothing very serious, but I was at the hospital and this lady came in, and she was very, very pale, and, you know, looked as if she was like she was carrying her illness. You know, she was walking slowly. She was as pale as could be. And I found myself irritated by her walk and her whole appearance. And I found myself judging that, you know, that some people, I suppose it's an attention, a way of attention. But actually now, as we're doing this, I'm remembering the attention she needed was my energy to give her maybe what she needs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, instead we make a judgment because we're disconnecting ourselves from the other person's energy.
So that irritation in you is her gift, is showing up in us the compassion we haven't grown yet.
That's right.
Yeah? So when we see the problem in somebody else, you know, up in, you know, a lot of teaching out there, oh, it's their responsibility to, you know, to fix that. You know, it's their life. It's not mine. I've got nothing to do with that. However, I find myself a witness to that, and I can. So as a witness, I'm now involved, and so I have a opportunity of acting. And if I do, and I heal that in myself, so I grow my compassion, I can have an effect on that which I'm witnessing. And so we are, you know, brings us into the co-joint responsibility for each other. Like no one is responsible, but everybody has the opportunity. So
yeah, because it's our quality of vibration. I listen a lot to Bruce Lipton, this physicist, quantic physicist, and he says all the time we affect everybody else by the quality of our vibration. So what we have to worry about is what kind of quality of vibration we are reverberating around us. And I think very much about that in every situation, you know, how to take care of us before we see someone, so that we have a quality of vibration to dispense around us.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's, you know, it's physic even, it's basic, and he explains it very well.
Yeah.
Well, as Dieter said, a lot of these things we actually know in ourselves, but you know, it's only when somebody asks something of us, like when we, like say, meeting that lady today, in a way it's asking me something, but I kind of kept it out there by saying, you know, she looks the picture of sickness, and she did too, actually, no, very pale, walking very slowly, and sort of very inside herself. And she reminded me of somebody else in my family that they always talk sickness, and it irritates me. But now I know that what I need to be doing is
growing your compassion.
Yeah, letting go and having compassion for the part of me too that can seek
that needs healing.
Attention in some other way.
Yeah, yeah. So good, good lessons, good lessons. Yeah, good session, everybody. So thanks for Dieter for being our subject of learning and letting us learn and practice something there tonight. And I'm also happy to see a little lightening as well of the energy as a result. So that's really good to see. And so thanks for sharing, everybody. And
can I just say something to you? In my news, what do you call it? They send me the headlines, and I'll just tell you this very briefly. There's a lovely picture in here of a young woman, and she was deselected tonight. She's from the main party, the governmental party, and she was deselected as a candidate. And you know why? Because she was in a hotel, not very far from me. And she was out. She had 2 bottles. She had wine, and she must have had 2 bottles of wine in her hand. But she was sitting on a swing, and she fell, and she took action against the hotel. And of course, this was brought up in Parliament, and they have deselected. I know her picture is there, and they have deselected her. She's a youngish woman. I actually think she's probably a very nice person, and so just give her a thought. Not that I'd be voting for her or anything like that, but I just feel for her because if it was a man did the same thing, he probably wouldn't be deselected, and she is. And I just see she's a young woman. She did a foolish thing. She took it to court, and of course somebody picked up on it, and now she's deselected. So not that she'll be looking to me for anything, but at the same time, I've seen it.
Okay then. So thank you everybody, and got a nice recording there for future reference. I'll add it to the page and send you the update. Keep it up that same page where for all the replays, so you can just keep going anytime and listen to them if you want in the future. So ending the recording now.